Our mind is capable of two types of main functions, activities. One function is motivated, the other function is not motivated. Motivated means the motivated function is intentional. Unmotivated function is not intentional, it is natural. The natural function of the mind is being aware, being conscious. That means the consciousness of the mind is natural and that is its main function. Conscious means mind can be aware of sense signals. Signals sent by the sense organs called eye, ear, nose, brain, etc. Those signals can be known by the mind. Pure knowing is different from knowing through past experiences. Pure knowing is natural. Knowing through past experiences called knowledge leads to thinking. Thinking is always motivated and intentional. When there is an intention, there should be an intender. When there is a motivation, there should be a motivator. That means the idea of self. Intention means I want to do this or not to do this. I want to have this or not to have this. Those are intentions. Intention, all intentions of the mind is dependent on selfishness. Selfishness means need of the self. Self, though it appears to be a reality, it is not a real or an actual reality. It is only a belief. It is only an idea. That idea of a self is referred to in Buddha's teaching as Sakkaya Ditthi. Sakkaya has two meanings. Sakka means one's own. Kaya can be the activity or can be the group, the heap. We have a belief, we have an idea, such and such things belong to me. I am the owner of it. This is my body, this is my feeling, this is my opinion, this is my idea, this is my knowledge, this is my son or daughter. Whatever that you call mind is based on the idea that there is an I, there is a self. The basic teaching of the Buddha is anattata, that means there is no self. There are only events, both inside and outside. There are no permanent things. Nothing can retain a permanent identity because everything in this universe, both material and mental, even ideas, even feelings, they are born to decay and die. Everything in this universe is born to decay and die. Everybody, whether a human being or an animal or a deity or a god, they are all born to decay and die. Nothing can retain a permanent identity. That is the Buddhist concept of anattata. Without the atta in the self, without the idea of a thinker, there can be thinking. When there is thinking, when there is a thought, there should be a thinker. We think, I am thinking. But according to Buddha's teaching, I do not think. They are only conditional responses. They happen under certain conditions. Not only thinking, every event in this universe is conditional. Cause and effect. Thinking or thought is an effect of a cause. In Buddhism, there can be immediate cause, but it is the result of a series of causes. Therefore, all events are causative. Even intention is causative. Intention is caused by the idea called I. I have this, I want this, so I don't want. That's an intention. Who is I? The sum total of our memory of our past experiences. That means the sum total of our knowledge. It is our knowledge recorded in our brain that creates the concept of I or the concept of self, and it is the self that has the desire to fulfill certain intention. All intentions are aimed at one target, one achievement, one result, that is happiness. Our mind is always seeking pleasure. Seeking pleasure means avoiding pain. We avoid pain to enjoy pleasure. Without getting rid of pains, we can't enjoy pleasures. Therefore, there are two basic desires in us. The desire to get pleasure, to enjoy pleasure. The desire not to have pain. One is a positive desire, the other is a negative desire. According to the Buddha, all suffering, called dukkha, translated, the word dukkha is not only suffering, but suffering is a form of dukkha. And that form of dukkha, the suffering, according to Buddha, is caused by our desire for pleasure. The basic desire is called kama tanha. Kama means sensory pleasures. The desire to satisfy the sensory needs, sensory pleasures. And we have a certain ideal way of satisfying our sensory desires. Therefore, we want things to happen in the way that we like. And that is called bhavatanha. It should happen in the way that we like. Vibhavatanha, another cause for our suffering, we don't want things happen in the way that we don't like. In the first discourse of the Buddha called Dhammacakkappavattana, he said, tanha the thirst for pleasure is the cause for all our suffering. Suffering he referred to as thinking. Our thinking is always associated with a feeling, pleasant, unpleasant or neutral. Buddha used the word dukkha to denote our thinking. In his first sermon he said, Sankittena pancha upadana kandabi dukkha. The 5 heaps of sparks or energy waves that go to form a thought are called upadana-kanda. Rupa means stimulation of a sense organ. Vedana means the feeling of the stimulation, pleasant, unpleasant or neutral. Then sanya means with that sensation, the sense organs send a signal to the mind. Sending the signal is called sanya. It's not one signal, it's a series of signals, heap of signals, wave. When the mind receives the signal of a certain sensation, the past memories associated with that sensation gets opened up. The hard disk that has preserved, saved the past memories is called our brain. For example, we get a sensation of a certain figure, or there is somebody in front of me. Then the eye send a signal to the mind. The mind gets the help of the brain to find out who it is. Oh, that is my father, mother, brother, sister, etc. Therefore, there is cognition by the sense organ, here the eye, and there is a recognition by the mind with the help of the memories in the brain. Once you recognize, oh, this is somebody, my mother, then we start a thinking process, thought process comes in. The memory of a kindness, good nature, the memory of a smell, the memory of a touch, the memory of a behavior, the memory of a figure, the memory of the clothes, the memory of things that he did. A series of thoughts start, and they are called sankhara. And these thought formations are called dhamma also. They are thought formations. Mental images comes in. And the mind becomes aware of these mental images. That is called our consciousness. Consciousness, the capacity for awareness, is the basis of our mind. Therefore, a thought is formed by the stimulation of a sense organ, sensation of certain feeling, signals sent to the brain, recognition of the sensation with the help of the past memories, and the mind becoming conscious of it. That is the formation of a thought. And they are electromagnetic. Upadana means the magnetic power of the mind. Pancha upadana kanda dukkha here means every thought of ours is caused by electromagnetic power. Magnetic power, liking and disliking, based on ignorance. Liking is called raga in Pali, disliking is called dosa, and ignorance is called moha. As long as we have the capacity for liking, disliking, and getting illusion through ignorance, our thought process work. Enlightenment means the ending of the thought process. ending of the intentional activity of the mind. Why the thinking is called intentional? The motive of our thought is enjoying pleasures and avoiding pains. That is the basic motive. Why we want to enjoy pleasure? We have an idea, I am a permanent being. I have my own permanent soul. I am a separate soul, self, separated from the rest of the universe. I am a separate unit. That idea of separation gives rise to the idea of self. Therefore, I am always thinking of giving me pleasure and getting rid of all pains from me. That is the main motive of our mind. It is with that motive our thinking process function. It is an intentional function of the mind. And with thought forms comes the feelings of likes, dislikes, or feeling of pleasure, feeling of displeasure, and so on. Our mind is always, therefore, filled with thoughts and feelings. That is the normal nature of the mind. In the first paean of joy expressed by the Buddha of his enlightenment, as recorded in the Jaravagga Dhammapada, Buddha said, at the enlightenment, my thinking process ceased to function. Thinking is stopped. And that is called visankara gatan chitta. Sankara means thinking. Thinking can be punyavi sankara, good thoughts, wholesome thoughts. Apunyavi sankara, evil thoughts, bad thoughts. Good thoughts, that are thoughts that gives us real pleasure. Bad thoughts, they give us pain. And there is the ignorance of things, that is why we discriminate things as pleasant and unpleasant. Both pleasantness and unpleasantness are mental formations. For the enlightened one, nothing is pleasant, no unpleasant. They can take things as they are because they see things as they are. That is called in Pali Yata Bhuta Jnana Dassana. Seeing things as they are. Yata Labha Santushti. They are capable of taking things as they are. Whether pleasant or unpleasant, that is his nature, her nature, its nature, and you just accept things as he is, as she is, and as it is. Therefore, the enlightened ones, they have no need for thinking. We think of things that we like, dislike, or ignorant. Ignorance means not knowing the reality. Enlightened ones, they know the reality, therefore they don't get illusion, and therefore they have no likes and dislikes. One thing that they really know is that everything formed by the mind, mental images, formations, because we experience nothing other than our mental images. We can't see the real thing through our eyes outside us. Because our eyes have a limited capacity of seeing. We can't see atoms or subatomic particles. Our hearing is limited. We can't hear radio waves, mobile waves, TV waves, electrical waves. You can't hear. Lot of sounds in this universe. Our hearing is limited. Smelling is limited. All sense organs are limited. And we know only distorted information given by these sense organs with a limited capacity. Therefore, our entire world that we experience is a distorted world, and that world is not outside us but inside us, inside our own body. Because we depend on the information given our sense organs, they are in our body. That is why in the Rohita Sutta, Buddha said, the entire world that we experience is within our 1 fathom. 1 fathom means about 6 feet. It is in our body, nothing outside. And that world that we experience, as I mentioned, is an illusion. It's not an actual reality, though they appear to be real. Once you realize it, why it is an actual reality? Because no thought moment can last. They are called chittakana. They are sparks, electromagnetic sparks of the mind. Every spark is born to decay and die instantly. They are, in Sanskrit, Shena Bangura. Born to decay and die. That is what is realized by the first disciple of Buddha after listening to the Buddha's first discourse called Dhammacakkappavattana. And Buddha himself mentioned it at the end of the discourse, saying, the ascetic Konjana realized that every mental form is born to decay and die. Yankincha samudaya dhamman sabbantan nirodhammadi. Dhamma means mental image, what one's mind becomes aware of. They are born, they appear and they disappear. They are not lasting, they are not permanent. They are dynamic, they are transitory. Because every moment the mental formation gets changed. Therefore, the creativity called dynamism, or the energy that creates, energy is not a thing but an activity, that activity is dynamic. And it's called anicca, impermanency. Impermanence is universal dynamism of both mind and the body and the universe and everything in it. Because of that creativity, dynamism, activity, everything gets changed. And that change, the transformation is called, universal energy is called anicca. Transformation caused by the universal energy is called dukkha. And the result of not having a permanent identity for anything or any being is called anattata. Once you realize that reality, that is what Reverend Kondranya realized by listening to Buddha's first discourse. Yankincha samudaya dhamman sabbanta nirodhammati. Every mental form is born to decay and die. As to experience nothing other than this temporary, dynamic, impermanent mental images which are illusions, once you realize that reality, that truth, there is no attachment in the mind, there is no resentment in the mind. The mind becomes free of likes and dislikes and illusion. We think of things that we like, dislike, or that we don't know. But when the mind is disillusioned and get free from likes and dislikes, there is no thinking, there is no feeling. The mind becomes empty. That is the result of enlightenment. When there is thinking, feeling, that means the mind is active. When the mind is active, the mind gets heated. Mental heat. It is the overheating of the mind that we experience as the pain of the mind. It is a normal heating that gives neither pain nor pleasure. Through awareness, as I mentioned, awareness is a natural activity, natural function of the mind. The mind does not get overheated. The heat is there, the minimum heat required for the existence of the mind and the body. Enlightenment is bringing down both the mental and physical heat, bodily heat, to its natural, normal level for existence. Therefore, Nirvana is cooling down the mind from overheating, from over-accelerating. That is what is meant by over-accelerating. Panatipata. The first precept is called Panatipata Veramani. Prana means life energy, bioenergy. Atipata means using excessively. Enlightened one refrain from using mental energy, physical energy excessively. Not only the enlightened ones, those who are treading the path to enlightenment through Buddhist meditation, they get a rest to the body, prevent from physical activities. The body becomes calm and they sit down for meditation, and then the body is free from bodily activities, doing nothing. That is the first step of meditation, Buddhist meditation. Not talking, no verbal activities, no physical or bodily activities, no verbal activities. And stop thinking. Stop thinking means becoming aware of sense stimulation without thinking of the objects that have stimulated the sense organs. That is the first advice given by the main advice given by the Buddha to an ascetic called Bahya, who got enlightened instantly while standing on the road. Listen to the Buddha for a few seconds, less than a minute. Said Bahya, the shortest cut to Nirvana, enlightenment is to be aware of sensory sensations, but don't think of them. When you see, let there be only awareness but no thoughts. Hearing, let there be hearing, awareness of hearing, but no thinking. Not using mental activity is called thinking, verbal activity is called talking, and physical activities of the body is the technique of enlightenment. And what happens at the enlightenment? Because Buddha's first paean of joy, as I mentioned earlier, Visankara Gatan Chitta. Mind became free of thinking. Free of thinking means, because thinking is always associated with feeling. That means the mind free of thoughts and feelings. Our mind is filled with thoughts and feelings, nothing else. They are mental images. When the mind is free of thoughts and feelings completely, it is empty. Therefore, emptiness is the ultimate reality one's experience at the enlightenment. And the bliss of enlightenment is non-overheating of the mind or the body. That is the bliss of Nirvana. That is the final discipline with regard to the first discipline of the Buddhists, Panatipata Veramani. Not using bio-mental energy excessively, Atipata. Excessive means let there be natural use without a user. When you use intentionally, there is an intended user, the self. Without the idea of self, that is why it says, once you reach the first stage of enlightenment called Sotapanna, it is translated in English as stream winner stage, Karnimistu says, Chatabithanani ababbo katu. All 6 sense organs becomes natural, not acting intentionally. Their actions are natural. Sense organs becomes aware. Awareness is natural. But they don't make the mind to think. We can see, but we don't look. We can hear, but we don't listen. Listening is intentional, hearing is non-intentional. Seeing is non-intentional, looking is intentional. Awareness is non-intentional, but thinking is intentional. All intentional activities of the mind, the speech, and the physical body heats both the mind and the body, and bringing down the heat of the body and the mind to its normal, natural level, it's cooling down the body and the mind, is called enlightenment. It is a physical, biological, mental, bodily change that happens for the body and mind to be natural. Natural means both the body and the mind is able, they can capable of taking things as they are and seeing things as they are. It's called Yata Bhuta Jnana Darsana, seeing things as they are. Yata Labha Santutti, taking things as they are and be content with it. With such a state of mind, the mind is completely cooled down. No mental heating. No mental heating means no pain. No burning sensation. Pains are burning sensations. They may be of a higher degree or lesser degree or mediocre degree. But whatever degree, overheating of the mind. When the mind is overheated, the body too becomes overheated. Because the body has to supply the energy for the mind to think and feel. Body and mind are interrelated, close to each other. When the mind is cooled down, the body is cooled down. When we cool down the body, preventing from physical activities, bodily activities, and oral or verbal activities, and mental activities of thinking, we are in a state of coolness, both physically and it is making that state permanent, what we call enlightenment. We can experience enlightenment by preventing from all intentional activities of body and mind. That is what is happening in the Buddhist meditation on the path to enlightenment. Enlightenment means the complete. Complete means to the natural level of warmth or heat of the body, like retaining only the natural temperature of the mind and the body, not accelerating the bodily heat or the mental heat. Therefore, enlightened mind is a cool down mind, free from all intentions, free from all thinking, free from all feelings. That is the ultimate bliss to be experienced by oneself. But once you reach that level, there is no self to experience, as Prayana Buddha Gauda says, Atti Nibbhuti no Nibbhuto. There is a cooling down, there is but there is nobody who is cooled down. It is a selfless, automatic, natural event, like blossoming of a tree. Enlightenment is the ultimate blossoming of the mind and the body. We all have the capacity to blossom one day, both mentally and physically, by enlightenment.